Hello, everyone. It's Michelle here from IELTS Advantage, and we've got quite a special success story here today. And we're going to hear about Ekaterina's journey and how well she did on her last IELTS test. So it's great to talk to you today, Ekaterina. How are you doing?
Hi, Michelle. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Can you start, please, just by introducing yourself? Tell us where you live, what you do for a living, and a little bit about your history with IELTS.
Okay, yeah, sure. My name is Ekaterina. I live in Latvia, in Riga, and I'm a software developer. I work for a huge international company, and I develop software for one of the biggest Irish insurance company. So I'm not supposed to tell the name, but yeah. I started preparing for IELTS quite a long time ago. It's been 2 years. But actually, when I started preparing, I found out that my English level just wasn't there, and there is no like tip and tricks. So I just spent maybe a year of improving my English overall. And after a year, I joined your school, and I spent a year also preparing with you together and to get the score I needed.
And can you tell us what scores you got on your last IELTS test?
Yes, last and first. It was my first attempt and hopefully last. So I got 8.5 in listening. I got 9 for reading. I got 7.5 for writing and 7.0 for speaking.
That's fantastic. And I take it those scores are high enough for you?
Yes, it was higher than I needed and than I
Fantastic.
expected, especially for writing.
Yes,
Uh,
so we spoke, I think it was 2 days before your test, and you were a little bit
yes,
apprehensive and nervous. Like, what if you get a question and you can't think of ideas, or you don't know anything
yes.
about it? So how did you feel during the actual writing test? Did any of those fears come true?
Uh, well, no, I would say I was nervous just before the test, but when the test started, I was highly concentrated and I just didn't have time to be nervous. So yeah, but actually, probably it's worth saying that and I think you mentioned this as well. It's like when you're in the test mode, it's gonna be a bit kind of slower and a bit worse than you did before. Because, for example, for writing, I used to finish when I was preparing. I used to finish those writing tasks earlier than 1 hour.
Mhm.
But on actual tests, no, it was just exactly 1 hour. I didn't have time to do anything. I think because of stress
Mhm.
and because I was checking my grammar several times, and I was like thinking about ideas, maybe too much. So, but I still got 7.5. But yeah, it was kind of hard.
Yeah, so like you got 7.5. So clearly your ideas were relevant and you
Yes.
developed your ideas sufficiently. I mean, it means you got an 8 in 2 categories, task response, coherence and cohesion, vocab, grammar. And to get an 8 in 2 categories means you basically made no mistakes whatsoever with any part of it. So that's fantastic. And it's really good. I know you were worried about the writing, and you did
Yes.
really well. I think your point about like being disciplined when you're practicing is really important, because when you get into an exam situation, of course you're going to feel nervous and
Yes.
pressure. But if just from listening to you talk, it seemed like you knew what things you had to check your own writing for.
Mm-hmm.
What sort of things were you checking for? And what things did you know that you had to watch out for?
I think I'm typing too fast usually, and that's why I make a lot of slips. Like even though I know how the word is spelled, I can miss some letter or comma. So I always needed to go back and check previous sentences. And also, we had in our test center Latvian language keyboard, and some keys were not working that way that my keyboard works. So for example, when I needed to do apostrophe, for example, like manager's name, instead of apostrophe, I got some other letter in Latvian language. So
Oh.
I needed to go back and check and fix those things.
Yeah, that kind of thing can really throw some students on the day. And I do hear sometimes from students who have failed and they want to blame the conditions, like they blame something, the room was too hot or there was noise from outside, or in this case, they might blame the keyboard. But even
It just
though
takes time. You have to always check and be very attentive.
Yes, yeah, and you know how to check your writing, don't you? You know how to be careful, and you've obviously developed those kinds of proofreading skills.
Oh yes, especially with your daily life lessons, especially feedback lessons.
Mhm.
They were very useful. I'm used to look at the writing and
Yeah.
started looking for errors.
Yes. I think that those feedback sessions really help students think like an examiner. And because we go sentence by sentence, don't we?
Yes,
About every
yes.
single mistake. And I think it might be a bit of a cultural thing as well, like whether or not you enjoy like paying attention to teeny tiny small details or not. Some people
And maybe it's also specific to my profession. As a software developer, I need like every single letter fine, otherwise the program will not work.
yeah, that's a good point as well. Yeah. Yeah, you can't really make a spelling mistake in programming, can you?
Yes. So it's not possible. Maybe that also counts toward that.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's quite often like small mistakes that stop students from getting the score that they need.
Exactly. And especially if there are too many small mistakes, like in every single sentence, yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely will be stopping you from the score you need.
So I know you were worried about writing. And was writing the hardest part of the test for you to improve?
Yes, definitely. Because, as I said, I work with Irish team. So for me, speaking, it's not so complex. I mean, probably speaking on some other topics rather than
Mm.
work. That's what I needed to improve, like to be able to talk about economy, ecology, some other topics. But other than that, my fluency was quite there when I even first took my first speaking mock test. So I wasn't worried about that. Listening and reading, I've been improving a lot before joining your course because it's something you can do by your own. You just listen a lot, you read a lot, and yeah, eventually you'll get there. But writing is the only one thing, like I didn't know what expected from me. Like I knew that, okay, you have to write an essay and so what, like what I have to put there. And it was total frustration. And that's why I decided to join some courses and to get some professional help. So yeah, it was definitely the hardest part. And I fixed my grammar and punctuation quite quickly. So I just read those rules and started paying attention, and that's it. But I was struggling with ideas mostly. Ideas were my weakest part.
Yeah, a lot of students struggle with ideas and worry about whether or not they're going to be able to think of ideas in the actual test. So how did you improve that aspect of task 2 writing?
I think daily life lessons helped me a lot, like really, because we pay too much attention to those ideas and how we explain them, which examples we write. And also it's important that we look at so many different topics. And that's why like mostly they repeat those writing tasks. They are almost the same. They are in a bit different wording, but main topics are the same. As I said, like ecology, economy, some like personal growth. So when we kind of thinking about ideas for previous topics, it becomes easier to think of ideas for actual topics on actual exam.
Yeah. I think that after a while, I mean, I think that after, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but I think that after a while, it becomes obvious
Yes.
what the answer should be, because it's the questions almost point you to an obvious answer, because the point is not to see if you're clever with ideas or unique ideas. It's just like, can you communicate some information clearly in a way that's easy to understand? And we've got to give you something to write about. So it's like, here you go. Right. And like the ideas after a while, is it how it felt for you, that it became a bit obvious almost?
Yes. As I said, like those ideas, they become obvious. Even if the question itself is a bit different and in a bit different wording, but the topic itself is the same, and probably there's gonna be the same problems, the same solutions for many different questions.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people watching this want to know how you got a 9 in reading and an 8.5 in listening. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you did that?
Yeah, sure. First of all, I think that part of my success was that I think that's how our brain works. When you don't want to do, when you don't like to do something, you do something you like. And that's why when I needed to prepare for IELTS, I knew that I have to do writing, but I didn't like writing. So when I decided, for example, okay, I'm gonna study for 1 hour today, and I open reading because I like it, and that's why I did those reading tests. And actually, when I started firstly preparing for IELTS, I said that my first test was 5.0, something like that. It wasn't official test. It was just something I could try. And actually, the main weakest point was speed of writing. I wasn't used to read, to read. I wasn't used to read a lot in English, and that's why it took me a long time to understand a sentence, and that's why I was running out of time very quickly. So I bought a bunch of books in English. I ordered on Amazon some bestsellers, like doesn't matter which were they, some bestsellers, young adult novels, something like that. And I just started reading every day, like slowly before going to bed. And after some time, I found out that I read pretty quickly. And of course, your strategies, they are the best, especially for some specific questions. For example, like matching headings, I used to spend a lot of time on those because I was trying to understand everything as a sentence, to understand which heading is better, and also matching information to paragraphs because they are not in order. And I used to spend a lot of time, but actually I had matching info on actual test, and I used your strategy. And it was very quickly. I finished reading in 42 minutes, and it was band 9. Yeah. It was very
Incredible.
quickly. I didn't read any texts as you teach us to do. I was concentrated on strategies, and I was going firstly to questions, analyze them, and after that started looking for answers in the text.
Yeah. It's a really common mistake students make, that they think they need to read the entire text, and you don't. You just need to go find the answer that you need. And we do read certain parts of it, because you have to read certain parts of it to make sure that you're choosing the correct answer, but you don't sit down and read the whole text.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um when you were like reading before bed and then reading novels, did you find that you were able to read and to concentrate on reading for longer stretches of time after doing it for a while?
No, no, it was hard for me for first time, and especially when it comes to vocabulary, because in books they use a lot of vocabulary to describe emotions and something like which is not used in IELTS,
Yeah.
like in many parts, and that's why I needed to like I read a sentence, I go and check Google Translate or something like that. I check that word, and it was kind of annoying to read that way. But after some time, you actually understand that some words are not important. And I think it's also important for reading tests too. Like you shouldn't have understand every single word to get the meaning.
Yeah.
And I started reading a bit more relaxed after some time, and my speed of reading also improved because of that.
Mm.
I was reading just the general idea.
Yes, I think that that's an excellent point. You can still understand what the point of the paragraph is, or the point of the sentence is,
Yes.
even if you don't understand every single word. And then you
Hmm.
don't freak out either. Like you don't start
Yes.
to panic.
Yes.
Oh no, there's a word I don't know, or now it's a disaster, because you can deal with that because you've been practicing reading
Yes.
for so long.
And with practicing, you also understand after some time from the context, is it a bad word or good word? Like
Oh,
it's like you understand from the context, like
yeah,
it's some adjective meaning something bad,
yeah,
and just go further. Yeah,
exactly,
move on.
exactly. So for reading, basically, you worked on your general reading skills and you worked on the strategies. So those two
Yes.
sides to your preparation.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
definitely. And that's it. Like nothing. I used to join also daily life lessons for reading, just for fun, as I said, like because I was getting the score I need, but I was enjoying it, and maybe that's why I even improved it to band 9.
Yeah. And you're lucky that you like reading, because not everybody likes reading. But your point about, like, naturally wanting to do the things that you like and that you're good at,
Yes.
I think it's true for everybody. And I think everybody just needs to realize that about themselves. It's like, okay, if they want to improve their reading, but they don't like reading, they're going to look for some shortcut or some way to still sort of
Yes.
gain the test. So they don't actually have to improve their reading skills. Unfortunately, though, that's just simply not the case. At some point, you've got to do the thing that you don't like. But as soon as you get better at it and it becomes easier, you'll probably start to enjoy it a little bit more.
Yes. Yes. Definitely.
Yeah.
And the same with writing, actually, because I didn't enjoy it because especially when you submit your writing and you get very bad score, it feels like life has ended and
Mm.
I'm not gonna improve. But after that, and after joining feedback sessions, and you really start looking for those small things, and you start enjoying your writing because you write a sentence, you check a sentence, and
Mhm.
you think like examiner about general ideas, and yeah, after that I started liking writing as well.
Yeah, that's great advice. You managed to get very high scores in every single part of the test, but you didn't start studying English when you were very young, did you? You started a bit later?
Yes, we didn't have English in school. We were forced to study German, and like I didn't have choice. I used to study German in school and in university too. But in university we had second language, second foreign language as English, and in university I started from scratch, like from alphabet, from very basic structures. We used to watch cartoons in English, even though we were like 20 something year old, but we started from like very scratch. And when I joined international, when I decided to join this international company that I work for now, I started also after university, started improving my English. I used to attend some courses, just normal group courses, and yeah, and after that started preparing by my own it's just there's so much you can find in English. It's not some, for example, Latvian language, because it's very hard to find on
Yeah.
YouTube something. But in English, it's very easy to find anything, books, videos, like podcasts, anything.
Mhm. Yeah. And that's a nice thing about learning English, isn't it? If you're willing to
Yes,
read and listen in English a lot every day and you pay attention to what you're reading and you pay attention to
yes,
what you're listening to, yeah, you can definitely improve your language skills without having to, pay for a teacher or pay for a course. When it comes to IELTS, though, it's a bit different because you do need an IELTS expert to help you understand exactly what it is you need to show.
yes. Writing and speaking, especially.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
definitely. And I think that a lot of people who, like yourself, work in English get quite frustrated when it's not easy to score a 7 or an 8 in writing or in speaking because you work in English. But
Yes,
like,
yes.
unless you show the examiner what they're looking for, they can't give you a high score.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the range of topics also, because I work in English. Yes, I speak to native speakers every day, but we speak about the same things every day, like
Yeah.
about work, about some programs. So I didn't have vocabulary and fluency when I speak about weather, about ecology, about animals, anything like which is not about work. I was struggling with it, so I
Yeah.
needed to cover a lot of topics
Yeah.
to
That's
have
a good
a
point.
range.
Yeah, and the IELTS tests are kind of designed this way on purpose.
Yes,
You can
yes.
talk about a wide range of topics, not just work related.
Hmm.
Yeah.
About water sports, I remember this question threw me off.
Yeah. Because some people
Yeah,
have never done water sports. So you've never thought
exactly.
about it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, Ekaterina, what advice would you give to someone who is just beginning their IELTS preparation?
I would say that it's definitely at some point you have to get professional help for sure. Like there's no way probably unless you're very high level speaker and writer, there's no way you will understand by yourself what's needed from you to get the score you need. And as I said, like I've been preparing by myself for listening and reading mostly because there are so many things on the internet. But for writing and speaking, it's definitely it's better to, I don't know, spend some money and time and to join some professional courses or school and to get some professional help, because you have to understand your own weaknesses
Mm.
and do not spend time on something you're already good at. You have to be pointed at your errors.
Yeah, I mean, our course is expensive, but so is the IELTS test. And
Yes.
you only had to take it once. Some people take it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times and then join the VIP.
Yes.
And if you take the
They
test,
spend even more money, yeah, and
exactly,
time.
exactly. And if you take the test before you can get the score you need, you are just risking wasting your money. And look at you, you took it one time, just one time. Look at
One
yourself.
time, but yeah, I spent 2 years. And what I like about your school also that it's kind of life life how to say loan. So there is no time limit because, for example, I work a lot and sometimes I can, for example, spend a week without no preparation because I just don't have time, or my brain is just on
Mhm.
my work. So it's very important that you have access to all the courses for long period of time, and you don't need to worry that your subscription will be expired or
No,
something like that. Yeah.
no, it's lifetime membership. I got an email the other day from a student who joined in 2018. Back and it's like, yep, sure, come on back and get started again. So yeah, so there's not that pressure. But some students then, I think some people miss having someone telling them what to do every single
Mm,
day. So like on the one hand, you can go as slow or as fast as you like, but some people like that extra sort of push. And so, you were probably quite disciplined with your study. How did you maintain that discipline when you were like studying sort of alone with an online course like ours?
I think it's just the goal that I have to pass it so that I can be free. I don't know. So because when I was doing something for myself, I don't know, some lazy stuff like watching Netflix, I was punishing myself that I have to study. No, there's no time to watch some movies. So for me, it was like main mover. So yeah.
Just remembering your goal, remembering why
Yes,
you were putting in all
yes,
of this effort.
yeah, yeah. Just to pass it and leave it.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that you have motivated a lot of other of our VIP students when you shared your success story with them, because
I hope so.
yeah, because everybody's sort of seen you in the live lessons and the live Q&As, and you do get to know each other a little bit, don't you?
Yes, yes, yes. We
And
know a lot of people now.
yeah, yeah, well, that's great. Thank you so much, Ekaterina, for sharing your success
Thanks a lot.
with me. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for all the help you give us. And sometimes we ask some stupid questions again and again, but that's something like which helps. Sometimes you have to repeat 10 times before we understand something.
Yep.
So thanks a lot, and thanks to Chris, because he gathered all of you together,
Hmm.
and thanks to all the teachers, because you're really great.
Is there any
You're making a lot of effort.
Is there any
Um,
teacher in particular that you'd like to thank?
Actually, all of you. Maybe with some of you, I spend less time just because of time difference.
Mhm.
So, for example, with Jason, I was doing just one speaking mock test because he's joining very early.
Yeah.
He's living in some Asia, I think.
Mhm.
And that's why, yeah. But I think I was working with most of teachers pretty closely. Damien, Tom, Phil, you, of course, Jennifer, Sonia, I think she already left, but anyway, Matthew, so I think all of you.
That's great. Well, I'll tell them all that we've had a nice conversation together, and everybody's really proud of you. We've all been rooting for you, and we're glad to hear that you've got the scores you need.
Thanks, thanks.
All right. Thanks again, Ekaterina.
Thank you, bye.
Hey, Chris here again. Hopefully you enjoyed that success story video. That student was part of our IELTS VIP course. And on that course, we show students exactly where they're going wrong and exactly what to do to get the score that they need. And we give them all the help and support that they need in order to get a 7, 8, or even 9 in their IELTS test. Now, we only work with a really, really small number of students. Because of the level of help and feedback and support that we give students, we can only work with a very, very small number of them. But we also have more success stories than any other online or offline course in the world, which has created a huge amount of demand for our course. So we're the only course in the world, I believe, that has a very, very, very long waiting list. If you want to join that waiting list, all you have to do is just click here and you'll be able to add your name, add your email address, and then when one of our students becomes successful and leaves the course, the next position can be for you. Hopefully see you in there. Bye-bye.